gave myself 18 months to change my life around. John C. Maxwell, who once said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. No man or woman is an island.
If we can just, have that pause and have that intuition, because there is a spirit in man and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth him understanding.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Bishop David Oyedepo says a closed mouth is a closed destiny.
There's an opportunity window right now, and if it closes, it closes.
Hustle is not a God thing.
We live in a capitalist world at the moment where we feel the need to chase money in order to survive. You have to commit to audacious authenticity.
Hello and welcome to the Mountains of Influence podcast. My name is Abimbola Oluyide, and here we dive into deep conversations with top-tier kingdom-minded professionals leading in the marketplace, uncovering the principles, challenges, and faith-driven strategies that have guided these leaders to not only excel in their fields, but also use their influence for a higher purpose. For our listeners, this means that you will have access to invaluable lessons on navigating your own career with purpose, overcoming obstacles, and discovering how to integrate faith and excellence in your professional life. Today, I have with me Michael Tabirade, an independent consultant working primarily for the UK healthcare public sector. Recently, he has worked for UKHSA within COVID and new pathogen. Oh my God, these are very, very big grammars. LAMP program as their workforce and resourcing lead. He managed the workforce planning, strategy, and transformation of the resources required to protect the country during the challenging and ambiguous corona years. Come on now. He has had 12 years experience working in the NHS. His last role was working for the NHSX as the senior implementation manager for the digital child health program. There he was responsible for managing the transition to digital, integrative, and personalized healthcare for mothers and 0 to 5 children in NHS. Come on, this is loaded. Additionally, he was also a public health commissioner for NHS England London region, commissioning services such as the school-aged vaccination program, childhood flu services, and the child health information services. He also designed an organizational development strategy and plan to help improve health and well-being culture and leadership within the working environment. Michael is a trained and qualified coach and mentor, and a mentor practitioner via the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, EMCC. He has over 300 plus hours of one-to-one coaching and many more hours of group coaching. In recent times, he became an NHS Leadership Academy Action Learning Set facilitator, where for over 2.5 years, he helped usher in new talented NHS managers. Furthermore, during his time in the NHS, he trained to become a healthcare leadership 360 facilitator, helping aspiring leaders progress in their careers. And, he has done so much, as you can see. Like, Michael is loaded. So I have brought to you, the best of the best. He is also the founder of the Mastery Group, which is a brand that questions, how good do you want to be? I think that's a very, very good question for us to examine. How good do you want to be? Because that's the bread and butter of Mountains of Influence podcast. This supports people with personal and professional development via training, workshops, and courses and programs. This is so rich. So, ladies and gentlemen, Michael is also an author of 4 books, and he's just phenomenal, and he is a LinkedIn top voice. He's not just the Waka Pass one, no, not the one that they invite you, invitation only, invitation only. Let that. So please welcome with me, Michael Tabirade, to the Mountains of Influence podcast.
Abimbola, I'm telling you, what an introduction!
Wow.
Seriously. It was the best introduction I've ever had in my life. So thank you so much for honoring me with that introduction.
Wow.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Wow, it's so good to have you on the Mountains of Influence. And we will just start with our what's it called now? Flagship question. What does
Mm,
influence mean to you?
mm. It's a great question. And I'll fly about because of the way my brain works. But for me, influence is the effect one has in order to reach a specific goal. Now, if I sort of like shape that in terms of my lens, it is the positive influence one has to reach a desired goal, a collective goal. And so when I start thinking about influence, I start thinking about leadership. You know, it was John C. Maxwell who once said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so it is the divine force that allows cause and effect to happen. Without it, there's nothing. You know, we are all here through the influence, whether we want to call it through the word of God, through the inspiration of God, through all of these different things. We were inspired, influenced to be where we are right now. But it's the effect. So it's the effect on something. So hopefully that gives you an idea of my definition of what influence means to me.
The effect that you're able to have on something, more like a catalyst. When you are dropped into
Yes,
something, how are you able to change that
this is it.
environment? It's
This is
just
it.
like a tea bag. When you drop it inside water, how is it able to change the entire color of the water?
Come on.
Just like when you drop carrots into hot water, how it becomes
Mhm.
soft. That is influence. Wow, that
Mm,
is just powerful.
come on.
That is effect upon effect. Thank you so much for that brilliant explanation of what influence means to you. So now we've read your beautiful bio with all the great things that you've done with NHS, with what you're doing with Mastery, with what you do as a coach, as a group coach, and all of that. Author of 4 books. Everything's so fancy and beautiful. But Michael, you
Come
and
on.
I know that you are coming from somewhere, and that is the
Hey.
story a lot of people would resonate with, to know that, look, I did not get here overnight. And like you already stated in your bio, 12 years
Mhm.
are taking you to get to be able to say these about yourself. So
Mm,
tell us about you. What is your story and what is your mountain of influence?
mm. So I was born in the UK to two Ghanaian parents,
Hmm,
and my father left early on at the age of 7.
hmm,
Now I have a very good relationship with my father. We still speak regularly to this day, but it was my mother who had the stronghold, the discipline, the ambition to make sure that me and my sister grew up in a very comforting household. So I
hmm,
grew up in southwest London, in Roehampton, in a high-rise flat. You know, it wasn't necessarily the best sort of conditions necessarily,
hmm,
but again, my mother, came from a family that had a fighting spirit.
hmm,
So I'll fast forward a bit more. I excelled in sports, rugby, football, athletics, all these different things. The ambition was just driven from there.
hmm,
If I would never lose a race, I'd never, lose certain things or whatever it may be. I had that from early on. But
hmm,
as I was doing all of this stuff, I was a big, what would you call it? Part of the church. So this is a Catholic church. So
hmm,
I was the altar boy. I did reading. I was choir master. I played an instrument, the guitar. I did all these different things. So church was a big part of it. And what church showed me was good discipline, good community development, but
hmm,
also having a communication with God, being
hmm,
able to speak with God,
hmm,
is really important to me.
hmm,
Anyway, we move forward from younger years and we move into adolescent years.
hmm,
I tell myself that I want to be a doctor, okay, as a backup to all of the sports stuff. And I
hmm,
said, why do I want to be a doctor? Well, good money, working with people. I love science and it fits my style.
hmm.
So I spent about 8 to 10 years. That alone is a whole story, but 8 to 10 years trying to get into graduate medicine.
Wow.
It didn't quite work out. I did something known as the GAMSAT, 5.5 hour exam. Studied for
Wow.
that for 5 years after work when I was working in St. George's Hospital. From 8 o'clock, I'd start work and then I'd leave St. George's at 11 o'clock at night. I was
Wow.
doing this consistently for
Hmm,
3 years. And it was the first time where I had truly been tested because in my church community, everyone called me doctor. Dr. Michael, Dr. this, Dr. that, da
Oh,
da 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 da. So there was an ego thing that was being built, you
wow.
know. And
I
so
can
with that in
imagine.
mind, is exactly there's the
Trying to live
pressure.
up to the expectation.
This is it. This is it. And so it got to a point where I had to make a decision. You know, I remember where I was. You know, I had a situation with my shoulder. I was incapacitated. I couldn't move. I couldn't go to work. And me and God have this weird sort of relationship where it's like we'll kind of joke around. I will show stubbornness and show like, no, I can do this, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you
And God will
better
just look
than
at me.
Jonah.
Yeah, exactly. That's me. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
And I got humbled. I got humbled. And literally the voice that was being said to me was, you know, you don't want to do this. Focus on what you actually want to do. And so the first thing I needed to do was have a conversation with my parents, tell them that I wasn't interested in the whole medicine side of things. They started to get on terms with it a couple of years later. But with that in mind, there were two things that happened from that experience. Me wanting to be a doctor opened me up into the NHS. That's what happened. It gave me the opportunity. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I'm just resonating
Okay.
with everything you're saying.
Fair dues, fair dues. So it gave me the opportunity to work in the NHS because in my mind, let me put the clinical and the management together. That means I'll be able to communicate value to patients and staff alike. But two, I dove deep into entrepreneurship, deep. And so over the next couple of years, as I was building my experience within the NHS, I started to dabble into different entrepreneurial endeavors. So I dabbled into property. There was this company called Tigran. I spent 10.5K for mentoring to start property, money I didn't have. I dived into network marketing. That took my money. I did that for a year. I dived into public speaking. I dived into all these different things. So I knew how to do a lot, but there was no execution. Why? Because I was chasing the money. I wanted to change my family tree. I wanted to be that person
Oh,
who could
my
say,
God.
yes, because of him, we've changed our lives. But the problem with that was that it lacked authenticity. It wasn't genuine. It wasn't aligned to God's word. It wasn't aligned to me as a person. And so I got to a point where I felt like I was trying to do all of these things and saying all these things publicly, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. So it was 2017, 2018. I looked at all of my situations. I looked at the money I'd got myself into. I was 30K in debt, spending all this money on trying to get education for entrepreneurship and stuff. And I said, I need to stop everything. And I gave myself 18 months to change my life around. I was paying £550 towards my loan at the time, or credit card or whatever it was. And I paid an additional £1,000 to accelerate payments. I said, I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm beholden by silly decisions that I made. So I was humble for 18 months. And during that time, I began to build my career slowly but surely and confidently. I began to become qualified and trained as a coach and mentor practitioner. And my coaching practice started to build a bit more. So there was some promise. So I was humble, but I was still working behind the scenes. And so by God's grace, I was able to pay off everything by 2020.
Wow.
And literally things started to open up. I can list everything for you. Number one, I launched my book, my fourth book, The Power of Goals. Number two, I was able to get a new job and promotion within the NHS. Number three, I proposed to my wife. I proposed to my wife and bought her a ring. It was a blessing. Number four, I put down savings towards a property. So we were able to get a property. Number five, the wedding happened. Number six, I got into contract. The testimony is immense. The testimony is immense. There were so many life goals that have been ticked off in the last 4 years because of the decision to align to my authentic self and listen to what God was saying. It's that simple. And so that is in a nutshell. I know I've been speaking a lot, but in a nutshell, that is my story. It's from trials to tribulations. It's about resilience. It's about making sure that I am authentic to self to help me make decisions that make sense. And this is where all of my principles come from.
Wow. Wow. That was super loaded. So at this juncture, what is your mountain of influence? On which mountain do you stand currently? Because you've mentioned a whole lot of things. So bringing it all together, on which mountain do you stand now, and where that you say you're making your most significant influence?
I would say within the contracting space,
Wow.
100%. Because, and I think I'm preempting a possible question, but with that in mind, how I got into contracting was not normal in my mind. You know, I had been in a situation where I was working for a certain provider, a certain place in the NHS. The leadership was poor. It was toxic. Not everyone was bad, but what I was experiencing in some instances was not good. And I was on a Google Meet session with them, and I just blacked out on the call. Blacked out. Burnt out, overworked, I didn't feel any self-confidence. That's not me. You know, if you're yourself, you don't feel anxious in those ways. You feel comfortable in your environment.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with my manager at the time, and I said, I need some time off. I'm going to go to the GP. GP signed me off for a month. And during that time, and this is the special moment, I had an insatiable feeling to leave. Insatiable. I've never felt that before.
It was overwhelming. Oh my
It was
God.
overwhelming. I'm getting goosebumps now. I can feel it.
Wow.
But I had an insatiable feeling and you know me, I'm very like, even though I'm being inspired from what I'm saying from God, because that's how I describe it. It's like I need to verify, validate, or let me give it all this
Second
nonsense.
opinion.
Yes, but the reality is, even though I got the opinions from friends, family, other consultants and contractors, accountants, it was the same message, it was the same feeling, it was the same voice. And I had that feeling every day, nonstop for 30 days, without a shadow of a doubt. And so I said to myself at the end of, I think it was December, this time 4 years ago, I think. Yes, 3 or 4 years ago, I said, I'm going to listen to this feeling. I'm going to listen to this feeling. And I'm going to put myself in a space where I'm going to dive head nose in to contracting.
Wow.
2 months later, I got my first contract. The rest is history. So that was my mountain of influence moment for sure.
Preach, brother. That was
Come on.
so amazing, because oftentimes a lot of us are stuck in this thing, in this 9 to 5 rat race, because it gives us some form of comfort, some form of security. And then, but sometimes you need to get to that edge whereby you're going to actually jump off the cliff and figure out how to fly on your way down, or you stay dilly-dallying at the edge and constantly on the edge, burnt out, angry, resentful, and just bitter, and like we say in Nigeria, nobody sends you.
Come on.
Who sends you? Like, but if we can just have that pause and have that intuition, because there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth him understanding. And I think that was where that insatiable need to get out and dive. Can you see it? You were on that mountain of, gosh, I'm tired. Okay, the GP gave me a month off. Okay, what do I want to do with my life? And then that feeling just kept coming. Yes. But a lot of us are on that journey whereby we numb the feeling. For those that have numbed that feeling of, you need to get out now, you need to move now, you need to go back to the drawing board and actually be able to clarify Okay, was it because, like you said, there were lots of other people telling you the same thing, but eventually you made the decision to eat the frog?
Come on. I ate that frog raw.
You
I'm
did. You
telling you.
ate that frog, and it ended up being delicious.
Delicious or not, it's delicious now.
But you
Let's
just
go.
have to. I mean, like, oh my God, amazing, amazing! Wow, wow. So now, I'm just curious, because someone out there is wondering, like, the company that you were with at that particular moment, were they also into contracting?
Interesting question. So the answer is they did hire contractors. And it was actually a contractor on that program that I got very friendly with, who were very good friends today, who was that influence that enabled me to say, yep, let's go. I
Oh, wow.
remember, so I'll shout her out. Her name is Katrina. Fantastic friend. I actually
Hey,
met her a couple of days ago.
Katrina.
So I had entertained this idea of contracting a couple of years before. And unfortunately, I was in a situation where the person I asked snobbed me and made it seem like it was never my portion.
Gatekeeping.
But 100%. But this sister Katrina, when I asked her, I just wanted to know if it was possible to learn more about the contracting industry, she said, certainly. She sat me down. We did a Zoom. She said, let me introduce you to this, that. After that, it was game over.
Wow.
It was game over. So
God bless you, Katrina.
Come on, God bless her, man. God bless her. and so it's important because it's important to highlight that no man or woman is an island, and God uses different people to influence your life, and it's up to you to use the will that He gave you in order to capitalize upon that opportunity. That's what that taught me. 100%. If I was like, I'm gonna do this myself and maybe I'll be in the same situation. So my brother-in-law and my sister said to me once, and this was only a couple of months ago, closed mouths don't get fed. They don't get fed.
And Bishop David Oyedepo says a closed mouth is a closed destiny.
Come on, what? How powerful is that?
Yeah. A closed mouth is a closed destiny. And closed mouth don't get fed. So I mean, like,
this is it.
They go hand in hand. That's just so amazing. Wow. Beautiful. So, in all of these beautiful experiences, what has been your most profound Jesus experience? That you can say, if not for Jesus, if not for the God factor, I'll be gone.
You know what? I wish I saved the last thing for that, because that was it for me, I'm not gonna lie. And the reason I say that is because I felt like I went through a period where I wasn't praying as much, and I wasn't in tune. And I felt like, this is typical of humans. They start praying when things are difficult and all this kind of stuff there. But when I started to pray and everything else, I started to become in tune, which meant that I could feel and listen for stuff. I feel it as opposed to listen. It's more of a feeling for me. I just know it. And so God, it's mad. Like, you would not be seeing the bookshelf, this plant, whatever it may be, if it wasn't for my ability to listen in that moment back in 2020 of December. I'm telling you, that has transformed my life. Going into the whole consulting, contracting industry has changed my life because my ability to listen to what God offered to me. And I remember it clearly because what was being said to me through this feeling was, there's an opportunity window right now. And if it closes, it closes.
Wow.
But take it. And think about that list: book, a new house, wedding, this, that, so many things. And it's even given me the ability to grow my business. Because that's what I talk about, my experience from that Jesus experience that I had. So if I'm being frank and honest with you, it
Hmm.
would be that moment where I decided to
Hmm.
quit and lean into contracting because of the great support and help from my friend.
That's amazing. And you know, you said something so beautiful. The fact that we all live in this fast-paced world where everything is like everybody's just running. But you were constricted to pause. You were compelled to pause and be still and know that I am God.
Ooh, come on, Buzz.
That
Be still and know that I am God.
that that pausing moment gave you the opportunity to listen to the voice within
Come on.
and to silence the noise on the outside. And I think that is a gift that if every one of us can tap into, we will
Mm.
ascend to the next level.
Come
Because
on.
there
Come
is
on.
so much chaos going on around us that we don't even understand. This person is saying that one, that person is pursuing that, and you're so focused on what every other person is doing, but you fail to look on your inside to be able to bring out what you actually came to this world to offer.
Come on.
And I think that was the bridge that you needed to cross. In that, it was as if you were play, and then God pressed pause.
Yes. Oh,
He
do
pressed
you know what?
pause for you in a world that time does not stop.
I'm telling you, Abimbola, do you know what? That is my life. I am very good. I'm telling you right now, I am very good at being busy. There was one time a rugby coach once said to me, "You're most successful when you're busiest." He told me that when I was like 14, 15 years old. Right now, that's the worst advice I could ever receive.
Hmm.
It's not about being busy. You're correct. That pause, that space that was created is what allowed me to actually listen. So I co-sign everything you've just said.
Wow. That's deep. And I hope somebody catches it. Because it's not
Mm,
in the hustle spirit. I'm hustling. That you can't find that anywhere in the kingdom. It's not
I
a
hear,
God thing. Hustle is not a God thing.
I
It's
hear
not a
it. Yeah,
God thing.
100%.
It's not a God thing. So if you find yourself that you are hustling and it seems like you're a fish climbing tree, you are a monkey trying to swim, might be time to pause and actually weigh your options and listen to that still small voice, because the voice is not always the loudest, but it's the strongest.
Come
It was not the loudest, but it was the strongest. And if you didn't catch it in that moment where everything else was silenced, where would you have been, like you said?
Do you know what? What you're saying is so deep because it's like, it's the catching bit. The ability to catch.
Catch
And,
it.
and in my mind, it's like you can only catch that based on good preparation in a way that you can't prepare for moments like this, but you can at the same time. What do I mean? I'm talking about prayer, practicing stillness, making sure that you're a good servant. All of these different things lean into the higher probability of you catching it when those moments come. I'm not saying I'm some sort of whatever. I'm not saying that. However, by God's grace and grace alone, I was able to catch it. So yeah, I like what you said there, man, because sometimes like God throws us stuff all the time, and if we don't catch it,
You don't catch it.
we don't catch it.
And and sometimes when those things happen, we feel like, oh, the enemy is trying to attack me. But you don't know that God is deliberately disrupting your regular programming
Come on,
to birth something that can actually, oh my gosh, we need to be discerning. We need to be more discerning. We need to be more introspective. We need to be more reflective. We need to tap into the thing called reflective intelligence.
come on, come on.
Us to be able to actually, Step to the next level, because sometimes your next level is just in the pause and in that simple, let go of this one, dive into this one. Wow. This is so rich, so profound.
100%.
Oh my God. So I caught something when you were talking about that period of hustling, of running from pillar to post, public speaking, network marketing, all of that stuff. And you mentioned something, zero execution. And I think a lot of people are in that phase of their lives, constantly learning, but unable to produce value. Because they have this wealth of knowledge, they have everything, but it does not produce anything. What do you have to say to that? And how can we get out of that cycle of zero execution?
It's a great question. The reality is we live in a capitalist world at the moment where we feel the need to chase money in order to survive. But if survival is what you're operating off, then it's the wrong operating system. And in order for you to thrive, you need to think to yourself, what do I need to strip? We need to strip things. The reason why I was doing this, that, was because of shiny eye syndrome, this idea of money, this idea of being that, Oga or Onya, as the the Ghanaians would say rather than Oga. Like I was trying to be that person. But who am I? Who did God call me to be already? And so when you sit within the soul and the spirit of understanding who you are, then you have the ability to make better decisions. I have this model that I call the pillars of mastery. And this is somewhat answering your question. It says, number one, you have to commit to audacious authenticity. This is having the balance between brutal honesty, but loving honesty at the same time. So brutal honesty is looking at what is actually my life saying? What results have I actually got and why? But loving honesty is allowing grace into your house and saying, okay, I can understand this. However, this is what I need to start doing. So that's that. Audacious authenticity is aligning to one's values, which we deem as important, which determines your decision making, and your decisions determine your destiny. The second level is crystal clarity. Once you've got to a stage of being clear about who you are as a person based on things like vision, values, and your velocity, you then define what that means in terms of next steps. You have to be clear. What does this look like? If I'm trying to do all these things at once, I'm not going to be effective. That's just common sense. So what can I choose that is going to give me the most reward? And you have to define, what is your Northern Star? Is your Northern Star ambition? Is it joy? Is it meaning? Is it learning? Is it one of those four? So once you have crystal clarity lined down and all of that stuff, you then move into considered communication. How do I exchange information in such a way where you have the right level of influence? Or whether people can, take on board what you're saying as a leader, whatever it may be. How do you move people in the right way? Then we move on to voracious vitality. You need to make sure that your body is a temple, literally. This is not just about physical or nutritional health. This is also about spiritual health, which a lot of people are labeling mental health, emotional health, but I'm talking spiritual health.
Spirit mastery.
Come on. This is what we're saying. It's different. You're sourced from a different source. And so
you are you're getting me. Just continue, because right now you are speaking in my language. Come on now. Come on. It is not the mental, it is not the mind, it's not the body. We put so much attention on the things that we can see, when it is actually the intangible that makes the tangible.
100%. 100%. It's
Come
the
on now.
reality of the situation, you know? And so with that in mind, we move swiftly on to the last pillar, which is persuasive perception. Do you have some sort of mechanism of understanding how you are perceived in order to raise that influence more? That's essentially what it is. So those are the 5 pillars of mastery. So to ask the question, if people can go through that phase, those steps of really being authentic with self first and understanding, actually, I'm wasting my time here. Don't like lean into different distractions and jump on the Pollyanna effect of this person's doing this, that person's doing that on social media, X, Y, Z. But you can pause and be silent and still and understand what you truly have been called to do. Then it's a different level. It's a different, it's a different energy altogether. So it starts with that honesty piece at the beginning. The most simplest purpose that every single person has is to experience.
You were first a spirit before you became a flesh.
You have to be in a position where you pause and you accept there is the possibility and ability to change.
A lot of us are living with our lives without vision.
It really does start with looking inward, because ego is important for achievement. Don't be afraid to make decisions that align to who you are more succinctly.
The future that you're looking at is what you're doing right now.
You have a responsibility to be the best version of yourself that you can be. We have to lead by example. We have to. Never be afraid to profess and continue and express your faith. Never.
And that is the end of part 1 of this episode. Watch out for part 2, which will be dropping in another couple of days. Meanwhile, while you wait for that, share this video with your family, with your friends, your colleagues at work. Let them know. Let them also enjoy what you have enjoyed. Okay? Because I know that you have gained so much value from this video. So please share this video, share this content, share this podcast, and let the kingdom of God go viral. Okay? Let the kingdom of God go viral. Go tell it on the mountains. Go tell it on the rooftop that Jesus is Lord. Go ye into all the world. Go to all the nations and spread the gospel. So spread the gospel of Mountains of Influence podcast, because this is for apostles in the marketplace, for us to learn the key strategies to be able to do our Father's work. Okay? I trust that you're going to do that. So see you next time.